Just when you thought the Venezuela situation couldn't get more dramatic, President Trump announced he's calling off a planned second wave of military strikes. But here's the twist. Most people didn't even know a second attack was being planned. Let's rewind 1 week. On January 3, 2026, the United States launched what officials called Operation Absolute Resolve, a massive military operation involving over 150 aircraft launched from 20 bases across the Western Hemisphere. The target? Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro. In a scene that seemed ripped from a Hollywood thriller, U.S. Special Forces descended on Maduro's compound in Caracas at 1:01 a.m. Helicopters flew at just 100 feet above the water. B-1 stealth bombers circled overhead. The compound was breached, and within hours, Maduro and his wife Celia Flores were in U.S. custody, facing drug trafficking charges in a New York courtroom. The cost was steep. Venezuelan officials reported 100 deaths and similar numbers injured. 7 U.S. troops were wounded. The world watched in stunned disbelief as Trump declared the U.S. would run the country until a proper transition could occur. Here's where it gets interesting. During a press conference on January 3rd, Trump casually mentioned that his team had prepared for a second and much larger attack but thought it probably wouldn't be needed because the first strike was so successful. That statement flew under the radar until Friday, January 9th, when Trump posted on Truth Social that he had canceled the previously expected second wave of attacks. Wait, what? A second attack was actually being planned this whole time. According to Trump's announcement, Venezuela started playing ball. The interim government began releasing political prisoners, a key U.S. demand. Opposition politicians who had been locked away for years started walking free, with Venezuela calling it a gesture of seeking peace. But that's not all. Trump revealed that Big Oil would be investing at least $100 billion into rebuilding Venezuela's crumbling oil infrastructure. He met with executives from Chevron, ExxonMobil, ConocoPhillips, Marathon, Valero, and other energy giants at the White House to discuss the plan. Venezuela sits on roughly 303 billion barrels of crude oil, about 17% of the world's reserves. But years of mismanagement, sanctions, and underinvestment have left the country producing less than 1% of global oil output. Trump sees this as an opportunity to both control a massive energy resource and potentially lower U.S. fuel prices. Trump's announcement raised more questions than it answered. While he canceled the second attack, he made clear that all United States military ships would, quote, stay in place for safety and security purposes. Translation: the threat isn't gone, it's just on pause. The political situation remains murky. Trump initially dismissed Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, the woman many consider the legitimate democratic voice of Venezuela's people, in favor of working with Delcy Rodriguez, Maduro's former vice president, who's now serving as interim president. This has sparked outrage among democracy advocates who see it as propping up Madurismo without Maduro, keeping the same corrupt system in place, just with different faces. When asked how long the United States plans to control Venezuela, Trump told the New York Times, "I would say much longer than just months or a year." Energy Secretary Chris Wright admitted they're, still working out the logistics of how they'll sell Venezuelan oil and manage the proceeds. The United States Senate has already pushed back, advancing a resolution that would limit future military force in Venezuela without congressional approval. Democrats are furious they weren't notified before the initial attack. Even some MAGA Republicans like departing Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene have criticized the operation as exactly the kind of foreign military intervention Trump voters thought they were rejecting. Meanwhile, Venezuela's streets remain tense but quiet. Families whose homes were damaged in the strikes are still cleaning up debris. Convenience stores and gas stations have mostly stayed closed. The few Venezuelans who ventured out have been stocking up on supplies, fearing more turmoil ahead. International responses have been swift and critical. China's UN representative condemned the operation. Colombian President Gustavo Petro warned of potential World War implications. Legal scholars have questioned whether the operation violated international law, noting that abducting a foreign head of state sets a dangerous precedent. Democratic Senator Mark Warner captured the concern succinctly, saying, "Does this mean any large country can indict the ruler of a smaller adjacent country and take that person out?" You might be wondering, why should I care about what happens in Venezuela? Well, first, this could significantly impact global oil markets and gas prices. If Trump's plan works and Venezuelan oil production ramps up, it could flood the market and lower prices at the pump. But if the situation destabilizes further, expect the opposite. Second, this sets a precedent for how the US uses military force. If this becomes the new normal, what other countries might be next? How will adversaries, like Russia and China, respond? Third, the constitutional questions are real. Can a president launch a military operation to capture a foreign leader without congressional approval? The answer to that question will shape American democracy for decades to come. Trump's cancellation of the second Venezuela attack is a significant de-escalation, but it's far from a resolution. The U.S. military presence remains. Political tensions simmer. The long-term plan remains vague at best. What started as a lightning raid to capture a dictator has morphed into an open-ended occupation with unclear objectives, uncertain timelines, and profound implications for international law, American democracy, and global stability. One thing's certain: Venezuela's story is far from over, and the next chapter could be written any day now. Want to stay updated on breaking international news and geopolitical developments? Hit that subscribe button so you never miss critical updates that could impact your world.